if any one verse was kind of our foundation at the collective, it's this one.
That's this one.
And the reason being is it's really the first formulaic promise that Jesus gives to us.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
And
That's
it
right.
comes towards the tail end of the Sermon on the Mount. And the Sermon on the Mount is the first time that the Jewish people have heard from God in over 400 years.
It's wild.
They've been oppressed for like 1,000 years over and over again, right? One nation giving way to another that have conquered them and dispersed them and are persecuting them. They don't know where to worship. They don't really have a home. They're in Jerusalem, but it's not really theirs, right? And the Romans are not a kind oppressor, right? They're taxing them literally to death, right? And what is the first thing that Jesus says from the Sermon on the Mount?
Oh, just blessed are those that are poor. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Blessed are those who are mourning.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
exactly. Like taxing them to death, but you're blessed.
Yeah, you're blessed, 100%.
Yeah, like persecuted, you're good.
Yeah, totally
Like,
blessed.
You're blessed, right?
Yeah.
And so that would have been shocking to hear to those people because they're waiting for a Messiah that's going to conquer the Romans, right? And here there's supposed to be this guy that's like this amazing teacher, miracle worker, right? And what do they see? What do they hear? Blessed. I'm blessed. How dare you? Do you know what my day-to-day life looks like? Do you have any idea how hard it is to be me? And then he tells them that if you're angry with anyone, it's the same thing as murdering them. So now he's calling them a bunch of murderers.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thanks, Savior.
Yeah.
Murderous. I'm adulterous. What's going on?
Yeah. Just, like accusation after accusation to these oppressed people. And he continues on.
Yeah.
And he's telling them that you're hypocrites when you pray this way, and the way that you're fasting is hypocritical, and the way that you're giving is so hypocritical. Like, what are you doing? And then he starts talking about their money. And like, you know how that goes for any of us. Somebody starts judging you on your money, like that's not going to go well. And I can only imagine that there was people like, let's go get the pitchforks. Let's go get the torches and the pitchforks, and we're going to run this guy out of town. But what does Jesus say right then and there? Do not worry.
Yeah.
Do not worry. Listen, your good father, your Abba Father, which nobody called God Abba.
Yeah.
Only Jesus. The first time in the Lord's Prayer is he calling him Abba Father, because they would call him the High King of Heaven.
That's right.
And Jesus is bringing it down now to this father-son relationship, this father-child relationship, this intimate thing. And he's telling them he knows exactly what you need. Stop being like the pagans, the unbelievers. Stop pining after all these things. Stop worrying about where you're going to eat or what you're going to wear or how you're going to live, right? Stop worrying about those things, even though they had good reason to be worried about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But he's saying, do not worry, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness.
Yeah, that's right.
And all these things will be given to you as well. What a promise.
That's wild. Just to think that God cares so much about us that he does tell us he wants us to seek first his kingdom, and that there's a pathway. And we're not much different today. To think about, we're still worried about the things that we're going to eat, where we're going to sleep, our jobs, things that the income-based type things. We're worried about our friends and our family. Like those are things that we're genuinely worried about. And we have the story of Jesus, and we're still worried to think about that. So, Cody, you talk about not just being able to seek first the kingdom. I think before we can talk about the kingdom, I think that we have to talk about the king.
Absolutely.
Like how we can seek the king first.
Absolutely. And Jesus, masterfully sets that up, of course.
Yeah.
Because he sets up the father-child relationship.
That's right.
And so the lens of seeking first the king is the lens of seeking first the father, our good father. And I always think of this, there was a time, I have 3 children, 3 daughters, and my youngest, the last time I can remember that she came up and asked for help with her jacket, right? And she was still in that age where she wanted to do everything herself. And she came up and I kind of put her arms on. She's like, I got it now, Dad. And I looked at her and I said, I know you do. I know you can do this, but I really like helping you. And in that moment, it made me think of my relationship with my father.
That's right.
Like, he knows I can do all these things, right? I can do a lot on my own. but he really likes to help me. He really wants to do it with me.
That's right.
Right. And each of my girls, my wife's a baker, and each of my girls at some point want to help my wife make cookies. And so they're very little, of course, the first time. And so they say, Mom, can I help you make cookies? And she said, yeah. So they come in the kitchen and she gets the recipe out and they go, what's the first step, Mom? And she said, okay, well, we got to get a bowl. And so they go, where's the bowl? And she said, it's in the pantry. Can you get it for me? Yep, I can. So Mom goes and gets the bowl and puts it out. Okay, what's the next step, Mom? Okay, we got to get the flour now. Where's the flour? It's in the pantry. Can you get the flour for me? Yep, I'll get the flour, right? So who's making the cookies? Like, right? It's
right.
extra added steps,
That's
right?
right. Every time.
But
yeah.
Mom has the recipe, and as long as the kids follow the recipe with Mom, the cookies are going to turn out perfectly.
That's right.
But eventually, what happens is my daughters have all wanted to do it on their own at one point.
Yeah.
And they go in and they try to follow the recipe, and it's resulted in having to throw away baking sheets because it's turned out so disastrously, right? And so what do? Like, what did we learn from that? Like, we got to follow Mom's recipe,
That's
right?
right.
We got to ask for help.
That's right.
And Mom will say, you should have asked me for help. I would have come in and I would have told you what to do and how to do it, and we wouldn't have ruined the cookies.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like to seek the King in our day-to-day. Father, what do you want from me today? What do you need me to do today?
That's right.
Okay, will you help me? Yeah, and we get to do that hand in hand now.
Yeah.
That's the relationship we have with our Father, is we get to do things hand in hand. So it starts with an understanding of who the King is.
That's right.
And what it
Absolutely.
looks like to seek the King, but it doesn't end there because it's also seeking the kingdom.
That's
and so
right.
Shane, tell us about the kingdom.
Yeah, and you think about kingdoms, you know, the people, the Jewish people at this time are very familiar with kingdoms. They not only from their past and their history, and you know, today in our day and age, we don't really understand kings and kingdoms. We don't work like that. We have a governmental system in the United States, and most countries have some sort of governmental system, but we don't have kings and kingdoms. So Jesus chooses his words very wisely. He's very strategic in the way he communicates to his people. And as he's talking about this, he's understanding that the Jewish people have consistently desired a king and a kingdom. And as he's talking about the kingdom, he's saying, I need you to seek this first. So let's talk about what makes up a kingdom. First of all, you obviously have a king. But then there's positions within a kingdom, right? You have the king's guard. You have people that are on the outskirts of the kingdom. You have people that contribute to the kingdom. There are people that care for the kingdom. There are people that are trying to be a part of this said kingdom. And when you think about your role, now knowing that you have a place in the kingdom, but you also have a role in the kingdom, it's not just that you're just belonging to the kingdom. You actually have a role in the kingdom. And we talked about a little bit in that secondary calling, right? There's this kingdom identity now that we can talk about. But when we think about the kingdom, you understand that now you can contribute to it. What a fascinating concept to know that you aren't just part of this kingdom, but then you actually have a role to contribute to it. And think about this just a little bit further. There's an inheritance that Jesus talks about, like a genuine inheritance. And to talk about what it means to be adopted in this culture, in this day, in this age. You know, today we think, if you want to get adopted, like if you want to be, or if you want to adopt somebody, you're doing it because you want kids, right? But the culture in that time, they didn't adopt because they wanted more kids or they wanted kids. You adopted because you needed an heir.
Yeah.
Like you simply, it was required of you to have an heir. And so adoption, this term adoption came around because of an heir. Like there was actually something to give. And so when we're adopted into this following of Jesus, like we understand now that Jesus is our personal Lord and Savior, and we confess that, and we begin to live for him. Yeah. Jesus says that there's inheritance for you, and you know what that inheritance is.
Yeah.
It's the kingdom.
Yeah. It's
the kingdom. And when you seek it first, there's this thing that's not that you're just receiving, but you're helping other people receive it too.
Right. Yeah. And I love that because what are two of the promises of our new identity is that we are co-heirs with Christ and we're co-laborers with him.
That's right.
Right. And so what is it that we're laboring towards? We're laboring for the kingdom, but what's the next piece in this formula is that as we're seeking the kingdom, we're also seeking righteousness.
Yeah.
Right. So that's part of the labor.
Yeah.
Is we're supposed to be seeking righteousness. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
We better have a pretty good handle on what righteousness means if we're going to inherit this incredible promise that he's going to take care of the rest for us, right?
And to seek things first, like to see that there's like a primary thing that you're focusing, that on any given day, that there is a seeking of the Lord, and it is a seeking things too.
Yeah.
That there's actually something that you can grab onto.
Yeah.
And this word righteousness, I know you're going to get into this. I love it because Jesus has not, this isn't the first time he's mentioned this. He just says this just like one chapter before. He says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness,
Yeah.
for they will be satisfied.
Yeah.
Like this righteousness is not a new conversation. So
Right.
what is it? What does this word righteousness come from, Cody?
Yeah. Well, first off, as we do in Scripture, we look to the Greek.
That's right.
Right. And so the Greek word for righteousness here is dikaiosune. And that word actually it can be translated as equity, which kind of blew my mind the first time I read that, because that totally changed my understanding of righteousness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Equity. What? Like what?
Yeah.
You know, like that just totally changed things. But here's why that clicks so well. If we go back to the garden, think about when God looked at things and said, "This is good." It was when there was no such thing as want or need. Can you even fathom? Especially now, Jesus is talking to the Jewish people who have everything. Everything is a want or a need.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go back to the garden, there was no such thing. But what caused want and need to come into the world was sin,
That's right.
was brokenness. Right? And so all throughout the Old Testament, we see God calling his people to seek righteousness and to seek justice. Right? Micah 6:8, to act justly,
Yeah.
to love mercy, to walk humbly with the Father.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be doing all along, and to seek justice for the marginalized, for the cast out, for those who are forgotten. And what did Jesus do when he came? He sought the marginalized and the cast out and the forgotten and those who nobody wanted to touch anymore, the untouchables. He went after those people. He sought equity for them. And what my favorite illustration of that is when we think of righteousness, we think of things being set right.
Yeah.
Like we're called to look and say, that's not right. Unrighteousness means that is not right, that's happening to that person or those people. Or I have to start in the mirror and look at myself and I have to say, God, show me what's not right in me.
That's right.
Show me what is not right and set it right.
Yeah.
And my favorite, illustration of this is when you think of a picture hanging on the wall, right, in your house. Like oftentimes, if you go to somebody's house and that picture's hanging like this, your eyes are going to get drawn to that, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's just, you're like
You just
almost
wanna-
can I just, is it,
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
supposed to be that crooked?
Yeah, you just have this thing in you where you just want to set it right.
Yeah.
Like it drives you crazy if it's sitting like this, right? And you want to set it right. And so what we're called to, my secondary calling is to say, Father, what do you need me to do today? And you know what he's going to say? He's going to say, son, there's things in you that need to be set right.
That's right.
And then he's going to say, son, see that situation over there, that person, those people? I need you to go and set that right for me.
Yeah.
And if I say no to that, then people will remain in unrighteousness.
Yeah.
That is not the way God designed it.
Yeah.
And my yes is what's standing between somebody's righteous experience with God and this life and unrighteousness.
And it just tells us this bigger story that this, I've heard this very similarly said, that if we want revival in our towns and our cities, revival's got to take place in you first.
Yeah.
And it starts with righteousness,
Yeah.
right? If we want this perfection, this goodness, this awesome plan that God has for us, that's going to start internally.
Yeah.
And asking and looking in the mirror and saying, where are these things that are just a little off that need to be set right? And I'm excited to unpack more of that.